All right, so I was actually I messed the schedule up, and somehow I had Frank on for both the sermonette and the sermon this week. So good thing he got in touch with me about Wednesday, and so I had to come up with something quick to cover the sermonette. So I went back from some of my stuff and thought this is a pretty good time to go through this again, seeing that we are in the 6th month now, and the 7th month is fast approaching. So I thought I'd go through this again. We got some new people here, so that might not have heard some of this stuff as to what the feasts are and why we keep them, and how do we keep them. So I figured I'd go ahead and go through some of this again. And once again, like I said, if you got comments, questions, just feel free to speak up. So the first thing is, why are we observing them? I guess maybe I should start back it up a little bit farther. Is what are they? If you go back to Leviticus 23, it goes through the feasts that a lot of people call them the Jewish feasts, but they're not Jewish feasts. They're Yahweh's feasts, and we are told to observe them. So that brings us to the first thing about why do we observe them, and the main reason is because we're told to. We may not always understand why we're told to do things, but the big thing that I at least try to do is that I don't have to understand why. Kind of like when you're a kid. Your parents have rules for you. You may not understand why, but they're the parents, so you just do them. Same thing, our Heavenly Father has rules for us, and we observe them because we're told to. And it's not, nothing ever stopped. If you go to Acts 18, it says, but we took leave of them, saying, I have to keep this coming festival in Jerusalem by all means, but I shall come back to you, Elohim desiring so, and he sailed from Ephesus. So that shows us that, they were still keeping the feasts even after Yeshua died and was raised. And if anybody would have known that, hey, these are done away with after the death, the people that hung around it back then, they would have known. But here we see them still keeping the feasts. So we should. So the next thing was, what exactly are the feasts? And we're told in Colossians 2:17, they're a shadow of what is to come with the body of Messiah. So some of the feasts are of remembrance, and some of them are looking forward. So exactly what are the ones that happen in the fall? The first one is the Feast of Trumpets, also referred to as Yom Teruah. Next, Feast of Atonement, or Yom Kippur. Or the Feast of Tabernacles, or Feast of Sukkot. And then the 8th day. So the big question then comes to us, well, exactly when are they? And so there's, a bunch of different calendars that different people observe. So I'm just going to kind of go through what the Bible actually says about them. Feast of Trumpets, the 7th month on the 1st day of the month. So depending upon when you observe it, it doesn't matter. We all agree it's the 1st day of the 7th month. This year, the congregation that is being observed, as long as the new moon is observed on the 21st of September, the Feast of Trumpets will start at sundown on the 21st of September and will be observed on the 22nd. Feast of Atonement, it's the 10th day of the 7th month. And so once again, as long as the new moon occurs when we expect it to, that would put the Day of Atonement being observed on the 1st of October. The Feast of Tabernacles, it's the 7th month on the 15th day to the 21st day. So that puts the first day of Tabernacles on the 6th of October, the last day on the 12th. And the 8th day is the 7th month, the 22nd day, so that'll put it on the 13th. So, that's when, the feast will be this year. So I'm thinking, is this plan still to observe the feast up at Lee's house? Okay, so if you're in the area and are going to be observing, they'll observe the whole feast up there. Do y'all live local here? Okay. All right, so we have a guy who'll be here next week preaching. He has a 40-acre farm up in Bascom, Florida. So he's got cows and chickens and goats and all kinds of stuff up there. But so he's got lots of room up there. So that's where we'll be observing this year. Yes.
That needs to change on the
website.
The website, yeah.
All right.
Because it says it's here.
Okay, William, you got that?
What's that?
The website says that the feast will be here this year. So we need to get that updated up to Lee's house. Thank you. So now that we know kind of when they are. We'll kind of go into each one of them. So the Feast of Trumpets is, widely believed as the day that Yeshua will return. If you look at Matthew 24:30-31, it says, "And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem, and he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from the one end of the heavens to the other." In 1 Timothy 4:16, "Because the Master himself shall come down from heaven with a shout, with the voice of a chief messenger, and with the trumpet of Elohim, and the dead in Messiah shall rise first." So when you look in scriptures about what's going to happen at the end of the ages, this is what it's talking about. And so if we look at the when Yeshua was here, he fulfilled already the spring feasts, and he fulfilled them perfectly. So we can only imagine that he's going to do the same thing when he comes back again. So that's where at least I believe that when he comes back, I'm not sure what Feast of Trumpets it's going to be, but it will be on a Feast of Trumpets. And you look to Revelation 11:15, "And the seventh messenger sounded, and there came to be loud voices in the heavens saying, The reign of this world has become the reign of our Master and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever." So once again, just talking about coming on trumpets.
And will be delivered from this evil system.
Amen. So next big question comes to be, okay, well, how are we supposed to observe trumpets? It says we're supposed to have a remembrance of the blowing of the trumpets. If you go to Leviticus 23:24, it says, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you have a rest, a remembrance, a blowing of trumpets, a set-apart gathering." So we're observed to blow the trumpet. We're told to blow the trumpet. So that's something easy to do. We've got shofars, we've got trumpets. So once again, it's not hard to do. And once again, Leviticus 23:24 and Numbers 29:1, you go to, "And in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall have a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. It is a day of blowing trumpets for you." So once again, blowing the trumpets and having a day of rest. To do no servile work. Leviticus 23:25, "You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh."
What is that?
What's it?
What is that?
What is that?
An offering made by fire.
An offering made by fire. I think that you had all the different offerings. I think when you go and I forget Leviticus.
For us.
For us right now, I don't know if this is one that we can actually do, because when they brought the offering, you had to bring the offering and the sacrifice at the temple. There is no temple now, so we cannot do the official sacrifices. But what does it mean for? Can we make an offering by fire? I don't see why we can't. We can make
I
remembrance.
mean, can that be like something that's baked or
Yeah.
We usually have
Cooking
food
fire?
after service.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
service itself is a
Yeah.
This is a memorial day for Yahweh.
Yeah.
On the Durham
Yeah.
County.
Yeah, I know that during Sukkot when we go and we camp, we do s'mores almost every night.
offering made by fire? Right?
so that's.
You do fire, then you just make sure you set whatever, you just burn whatever you have.
Yeah, and if you don't have an actual fire pit, a grill works well for s'mores as well. So.
The mother can just burn the food.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but like I said, I think back then they had the actual temple, so they would make the sacrifices. You had the daily sacrifices, the weekly sacrifices, and then the sacrifices on the different moedim. So we can't do those now because we don't have a temple. But there's nothing to say that you can't go and do something different. And once again, on the first day, there's no servile work. That means it is commonly referred to as a high Sabbath. So you take the day off of work, you rest, and you, like I said, you observe it as a feast. 75, I'll call them later. And offering made by fire, and we covered that one. So next one to come up to is Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. So this is the only time of the year the high priest could enter the most set-apart place. So that's when, like I said, we know he would go in there once a year, and there have been different traditions that he would he wore bells so that he could keep that he wasn't dead. But I don't know that's just tradition. But it just says that he was to go in there. In a time, two goats were supposed to be brought before the high priest on that day, and that's where they would sacrifice one, and they would take and send the other one out. So once again, we don't have a temple now, so we can't make the sacrifices. And so once again, how are we supposed to observe atonement? So it says we're supposed to have a set-apart gathering. So that just means, like I said, you get together with like believers and you have a set-apart gathering like we do on Sabbath. So that once again, we'll be doing that up at Lee's place.
Well,
Yeah.
will that be at least like?
I was assuming the whole thing's going to be up there. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's Sukkot. Oh, yeah. Atonement, that's right. Atonement will be here. Atonement will be here. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, babe. See, that's why you got to have a good wife. They keep you straight. They correct you when you need correcting. Something else we're supposed to do on atonement is you're supposed to afflict your soul. Now, there's different debates on what this actually means. How do you afflict your soul? The most common way that people do is fast. So that's going to be from sundown to sundown. And some people do a complete fast, don't have anything. Some people just have water. So once again, if it's something that, if due to medical reasons, that would be bad for you to fast all day, then don't do it. Because I think first and foremost, Yahweh, he's a God of love. He wants us to live and be healthy. So if by fasting a day it's going to put your health at risk, find another way to afflict your soul. I think the boys, for why we didn't make them fast all day, because they're young, they need that nutrition to grow and be healthy. So they would abstain from other things, technology, stuff like that. So there's nothing specifically in the scriptures that say afflicting your soul means to fast. So like I said, just find something that works for you, just to make sure that it is afflicting. Like Joe Ellen says, fasting all day, that's not afflicting to her. She can go all day and not eat. It's not a big deal to her. So she does something else. So I said, so it's just a matter of, and that's the one of the things that I mention a lot is, that's what's so nice about the scriptures. They don't get really specific about what you have to do on everything. A lot of this stuff is vague, and it was it vague for a reason? I don't know, but it's nice that, like I said, you can do this, and so you can come up with, like I said, so if fasting is not afflicting to you, then come up with your own thing that is afflicting to your soul.
There's some hints in Isaiah 58.
Okay, what?
Because it says, "Is this the kind of fast that I want?"
Okay.
No, I want a fast where you're doing the right thing with people and not clobbering them and not stealing from them and not putting them down and just all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of stuff we shouldn't be doing anyway.
Exactly.
Every day. It's not just a one day a week thing,
Yeah,
or your
he
thing.
was
Yeah.
saying, I don't like this fast of yours that where you're fasting, food and not, and still your people are being clobbered.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, what the saying is they were probably adhering to the absolute strict letter of the law, but they were ignoring the weightier matters. So you can go and you can keep, if anyone can. Yeah. 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 So, and once again, we say we have another fire offering on atonement, and that would be one of the hardest ones to do, I think.
Yeah.
So here you're butchering this animal, you're having this big barbecue, and you're fasting. That would be a hard one, I think, if you were one of the high priests. Yeah. Yeah. And once again, you do no work. So this says no work at all. So that we're, typically where the other ones it says no servile work. This says no work, period. I think that's.
I'm not an expert on the offerings, but I think the fire offering is the complete burnt offering.
Is the complete where it burns it up completely?
I'm not sure, but that's what I was thinking it
Yeah.
was.
Anthony's shaking his head yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shaking or nodding?
He's nodding. He's nodding yes. Well,
You're saying shaking.
So Leviticus 23:31 says, yeah, do no work, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And once again, here's another. It's not just until Yeshua came and died. It says forever throughout your generations. So once again, it's a thing telling us nothing's ever going to stop this. And Sukkot. So Sukkot's a kind of both a look back to history of Israel and a remembrance of their 40-year period of wandering in the wilderness, as well as a look forward to the establishment of Yeshua's kingdom here on the earth. And this is also a feast that they had every year. It also commemorates the last harvest of the year. So they go and they bring in all their harvest, and it's a celebration. So at the end of the year, they harvest the grapes, figs, pomegranates, and olives. And so that's how we're supposed to observe Sukkot. We're supposed to appear before Yahweh in the place He chooses. In Deuteronomy 16:16, 3 times a year all your males will appear before Yahweh, your Elohim, in the place He chooses, at the festival of unleavened bread, at the Feast of Weeks, and at the Festival of Booths. None should appear before Yahweh empty-handed. So once again, it's a 7-day feast. Supposed to have a burnt offering, a grain offering each day. So when you go into Numbers and it goes through and it tells you what all the offerings are, it tells you what you're supposed to bring. So on the first day of Sukkot, we have a set-apart gathering. Leviticus 23. So Leviticus 23:35. On the first day of the set-apart gathering, you do no servile work. Numbers 29:12. And on the 15th day of the 7th month, you have a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work, and you observe a festival to Yahweh 7 days. Once again, no servile work. We're told to decorate. Go to 23:40. It says, "And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of good trees, branches of palm trees, twigs, leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim for 7 days." So we're told here we're given the 4 species, and you go out and you're supposed to decorate with them. How you decorate with them, that's up to you. What we used to do, when we had our house on the west end of the beach, lucky enough we had all 4 of those species growing in our yard. So we would take and we would cut some of the palm trees down and cut some of the weeping willow stuff, and I'd pack them all in the front of the pop-up trailer. When we get to where we were going, we'd pop the thing up, and I'd get my little zip ties and I'd just decorate it all up. But it's one of those things that a lot of people say that, oh well, we miss out on so much when you go do this. You don't get to do Christmas. You don't get to do all this. Well, here we're actually commanded to decorate, so you don't have to give. You just kind of have to shift, how and when you do it and why you do it. So we got we're told the fruit of good trees, palm trees, twigs of leafy trees, and willows of the stream. So now I tried to get a weeping willow growing at our new place, but it didn't make it. My black thumb got it, I think. So either the black thumb or the lawnmower, but I think the black thumb got it, then the lawnmower did. So, and we're told to do no work. Once again, on the first day, and we're supposed to rejoice. So like I said, once again, when we first started this walk, the boys stood there. That's what they would look forward to. Most kids look forward to Christmas. The boys look forward to Sukkot every year. It's a week of camping and playing with a bunch of other kids and so forth. So they enjoyed it. So we're supposed to rejoice. We're told we're supposed to dwell in booths. So, the question is, well, what is a booth? And a booth comes in many shapes. We're told, look up at the stars and remember Yahweh's promise to Abraham that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the heavens. So for some people, that booth is a tent. There's a lot of people that go and they camp in tents for a week. We didn't rough it so much. Once again, like I said, our temporary dwelling, our booth was a pop-up trailer. It was temporary for us, and we liked it. But as people age, get older, sometimes that camping thing just ain't for them. So some people do their temporary dwelling as a hotel room. So whatever works. But there again, when I said scriptures aren't specific and say you have to go camp in a tent for 7 days, because like I said, some people just physically they can't. So there's nothing wrong, I think, with dwelling in a tent. Or a cruise ship for 7 days. So it's
Temporary, right?
it's a temporary dwelling. So what's that?
Waste your money.
There you go. Well, it tells us we're supposed to use our tithe for the feast. So some people choose to do that. So the 8th day, you're supposed to have a set-apart gathering. Leviticus 23. On the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather in the fruit of the land, observe the festival of Yahweh for 7 days. On the first day is a rest, and on the 8th day is a rest. Oh, I missed 36. Oh. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day there shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. So once again, a fire offering and no servile work. And so that's basically what I came up with for going through the scriptures to say kind of talk about the feasts that are coming up. So if you have questions about the dates, we can go over them again. And yep,
I have a question.
yes.
Or a comment. It talks about decorating with fruit.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard this before, but a pastor that we were under actually said that fruit was to represent the fruit of the Spirit.
Okay.
So, when you put that up there, you think about, and maybe you can memorize it,
Mhm.
the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
and there-
thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you look to the our brother Judah, they have a lot of traditions, and they have something they call the lulav, and where you can actually buy, and it's got all the different species woven together, and it looks real pretty and looks cool. And if you want to get one of those, it's easy. They do all your decorating for you, just hang them up. But like I said, it doesn't say you have to do that, and they go with the citron is their fruit. But like I said, it doesn't get real specific about it.
Yeah, it doesn't say it's just a citron. It
Yeah.
can be any fruit.
Exactly. So the key is to that we observe them because He told us to observe them, and how we observe them is really a lot of it's left up to us. And so the key is, I said, keep the Sabbaths and don't work on those days. If you can at all help it. Once again, understand some people. We live in this world and we have jobs, and some people can't get off work. But just do your best to ask. Yeah.
I think it's because he's creative and he wants to see how we're going to be creative.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, and then, exactly, and just because someone else does it this way doesn't mean you have to do it that way. Make it your own. And I said it's good you get to be creative on your own. Yeah, Felix?
As I listen, you talk, you throw rocks at me later on.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 corrections.
Okay.
Our 40-acre farm is only 20.
At 20, okay. Well, I thought it was 40, but oh well.
And the scripture that she referred to as 1 Timothy 4:16 is actually 1 Thessalonians.
Thessalonians, okay. All right, I abbreviated it. All right, appreciate that, Felix.
Yeah, that would clear up some
Yeah.
confusion.
Wow. See?
Would be there.
And that's what we're here for. We're to help each other and correct each other when we're wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're supposed to do.
Amen. I know that all too well.
Yeah. All right. So do y'all have any kind of idea how many people are y'all planning up there at the farm?
Well, I just got word from Joelle when she pulled me aside that we had mentioned that they may not be able to do this.
Oh, okay.
So I sent him a couple of texts and response. This is just something.
Okay. Well, that was the plan a while back. So we'll see. We still have almost a month to iron out the details, but
There are alternate plans in the works.
okay. Okay. Well, like I said, we'll just stay tuned to this same bat channel each week, and we'll keep pushing out updates.
We could even have it out at our place.
Okay. We'll see. So, yeah. So, anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns about feasts? Why we keep them? How we keep them? What we're supposed to do? Not supposed to do? No. Hearing none. I guess we're good. Oh yeah.
This is sort of that way, but when he comes back to 1,000 years,
Mhm.
we're going to be spirit bodies
Mhm.
ruling or helping him. Who are the humans? Are they going to be ex-Muslims? Since Muhammad didn't come back, are they going to be the ones that are like the as humans?
I'm not sure. I hadn't done a whole lot of studying on that. Chris, you got anything for us? No.
Jehovah's Witnesses say it's going to be them, but they're supposed to be spirit bodies.
Mhm.
They're still going to be people. and
Yeah.
they're still going to be.
Basically, it's talking about Israel. And Israel is scattered among the nations. Israel is not identified as Israel today. Matter of fact, if you want to know the truth about Israel, the United States is full of Israel. We are the descendants of the lost house of Israel that was dispersed. Also in Australia and India and the other